Well, it's Tuesday.
It is.
And we're back in the collector's attic. And the last 2 weeks, we looked at some interesting Saltair memorabilia. The Wally Wright painting and the plans, the original plans from 1893, 1892. Mm-hmm. This is my collection of paperwork. We've on occasion gone into the filing cabinet and I've shown you guys some of my maps and photographs, and this is the Saltair file. And I thought I might, well, there's a lot to it. And we won't go through every darn thing imaginable.
But look at this.
But we will go through a couple of the more interesting. And this, I think, is my favorite thing in here. These are tickets.
Oh, neat.
To ride the railroad out to the resort or to go to high school dances.
Wow.
And I got these from a collector who just had collected them all. And this is just a little ticket here.
Isn't that fun?
Isn't that fun?
Wow.
Some of the railroad tickets were just these little small tickets. Some of the later ones were just a little thing that the conductor might stamp. These haven't been used because these are from the printer.
Oh.
These are proofs from the printer, so they never actually got used.
Nice.
But this is Saltair Beach to Salt Lake City, the return trip. And this is the outbound trip. And for some reason it says Salt Lake to Crystal.
Crystal?
To Crystal. But that's out to the Saltair Resort.
Crystal, huh?
Yeah. Here's what an earlier ticket looked like.
Wow.
And they had a tear stub that the conductor could tear off and so on and so forth.
Reminds me of the old driver's license.
This one is a later one. It says Salt Lake and Garfield. So it's somewhat later. This is a much earlier one because it says Salt Lake and Los Angeles.
Oh my goodness.
And because they're printer's proofs, they're just mint.
Nice.
And yet they've got the signatures and date stamps and everything, even though they were never actually used.
Interesting.
Very, very fascinating. Here's a fun one. They would do the all-school high school dance out there every year.
That would be so much fun.
And this is a ticket to just to ride the train, not to the dance itself.
Just to ride the train.
25-cent round trip to ride the train out to the high school dance and back.
Well, fun.
So all these people would go out there on dates. The open-air cars weren't lit. And on the way back,
oh boy,
it was night. And long train ride, 10-mile train ride back to town.
There you go.
In a dark car. A bunch of teenagers who just went there to dance. So.
No chaperone, huh?
Oh, no chaperone. But that's a ticket to that. The all high school dance. Kind of like their version of the... Anyway, this is Oregon Short Line. And I'm not quite sure why Oregon Short Line, but it's a ticket off the Oregon Short Line to ride the Salt Lake to Saltair and return as sold by the Oregon Short Line.
Oh my.
Which, was absorbed by the Union Pacific and ran up through Idaho and so on. So I guess you could also buy a ticket on the Salt Lake and Los Angeles because they were sort of sister railroads. They were all owned by the Mormon Church.
Wow.
Salt Lake and Los Angeles, again, another Oregon Short Line ticket, round trip. This one actually says sample across it because they're, rather than somebody getting a hold of it and actually using it because they were all just printer's proof. Salt Lake, Garfield, and Western, just a regular ticket, a one-way ticket for one of the two directions. And this is the envelope.
In which they came?
In which when I got them from the guy who had them, and it's got the handwriting on here, the Salt Lake and Garfield, blah, blah,
that
blah.
Is so cool.
Blah, 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 blah.
Nice. That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting paperwork?
Wow.
So
cool.
That's just kind of fun.
Oh, amazing.
So those are bits of railroad paperwork. I also have in here railroad timetables.
Oh, those are cool.
And those are really neat. So these two, this is an earlier one from 1919, And then the other one is a later one from the 1980s, as I recall.
Oh, the 1980s. Wow.
Well, it's a little earlier than that, but it's a much later one, probably from the 1960s.
Okay.
And then 1919
1919.
timetable.
Man,
Isn't that fun?
that's awesome.
So a lot of what I have here is amusement park memorabilia,
Oh, that's just a letterhead and
and that's the actual letterhead
nice.
for the railroad, the Salt Lake and Los Angeles Railway,
That is just neat.
and actual letters that the railroad wrote to people. Same letterhead. I also photocopied the letterhead, but then I was able to actually get a hold of some of the
There's crystal there.
and there's crystal, which is the siding. So I'm not sure why, because this is a map, and we can see the Y that we walked,
Oh, that, okay.
where we got eaten by chiggers,
Oh, yeah,
and then the pier going out into the lake
okay.
with the amusement park, and then just the long, straight track into Salt Lake.
Interesting.
I photocopied that timetable so that I wouldn't have to open up the timetable,
Yeah, there you
just
go.
just
So it's there.
so I can see what I've got, and so on and so forth. The rest of this stuff is all stuff from the actual amusement park, and we'll look at that next Tuesday.
Right.
Because it's just paperwork but it's really interesting paperwork. If you find paperwork interesting,
Right.
including the sales receipt when they sold the entire resort to the railroad for $200,000, and they have the receipt. And that'll be next Tuesday's show.
There you go.
Anyway, if you haven't been over to the channel, pop on over to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, do subscribe. And you can do that by clicking the blue button. Are we ready for it? Blank. Right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here on Tuesday as we look at this bit of paperwork. We'll see you then.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.